Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the reading of Dialectic, Spiritualism, a Vedic view on Western philosophy by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And presently this book is published under the name Beyond Illusion and Doubt. We are Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Sulalita Devidasi. Yeah, we are concluding chapter number 11, entitled Karl Marx. Disciple. The communists, and even to a certain extent the capitalists, believe that service for the production of goods is the only real service. Therefore, they condemn us because we are not producing anything tangible. Srila Prabhupada. How can they condemn us? We are giving service to humanity by teaching the highest knowledge. A high court judge does not produce any grains in the field. He sits in a chair and gets $75,000 to $100,000 a year. Does that mean he's not rendering any service? Of course he is. The theory that unless one performs manual labor in the factory or the fields, he is not doing service would simply give credit to the peasant and the worker. It is a peasant philosophy. There's a story about a king and his prime minister. Once the king's salaried workers complained, "We are actually working, and this minister is doing nothing. Yet, you are paying him such a large salary. Why is that?" The king then called his minister in and also had someone bring in an elephant. "Please take this elephant and weigh it," the king said to his workers. The workers took the elephant to all the markets, but they could not find a scale large enough to weigh the animal. When they returned to the palace, the king asked, "What happened?" One of the workers answered, "Sir, we could not find a scale large enough to weigh the elephant." Then the king addressed his prime minister. "Will you please weigh this elephant?" "Yes, sir," said the prime minister, and he took the elephant away. He returned within a few minutes and said, "It weighs 10,650 pounds. All the workers were astonished. "How did you weigh the elephant so quickly?" one of them asked. "Did you find some very large scale?" The minister replied, "No, it is impossible to weigh an elephant on a scale. I went to the river, took the elephant on a boat, and noted the watermark. After taking the elephant off the boat, I put weights in the boat until the same watermark was reached. Then I had the elephant's weight." The king said to his workers, "Now, do you see the difference? One who has intelligence has strength, not the fools and rascals. Marx and his followers are simply fools and rascals. We don't take advice from them. We take advice from Krishna or his representative." Disciple. So, religion is not simply a police force to keep people in illusion. Srila Prabhupada. No. Religion means to serve the spirit. That is religion. Everyone is rendering service, but no one knows where his service will be most successful. Therefore, Krishna says, serve me, and you will serve the spiritual society. This is real religion. The Marxists want to build a so-called perfect society without religion, yet, even up to this day, because India's foundation is religion, people all over the world adore India. Disciple. Marx says that God does not create man, rather man creates God. Srila Prabhupada, that is more nonsense. From what he says, I can tell he is a nonsensical rascal and a fool. One cannot understand that someone is a fool unless he talks. A fool may dress very nicely and sit like a gentleman amongst gentlemen. But we can tell the fools from the learned man by their speech. Disciple. Marx's follower was Nikolai Lenin. He reinforced all of Marx's ideas and added a few of his own. He believed that revolution is a fundamental fact of history. He said that history moves in leaps and that it progresses toward the communist leap. He wanted Russia to leap into the dictatorship of the proletariat, which he called the final stage of historical development. Yeah, he was wrong. He was wrong. Srila Prabhupada, no. We can say with confidence, and they may note it carefully, that after the Bolshevik Revolution there will be many other revolutions, because as long as people live on the mental plane, there will only be revolution. Our proposition is that one should give up all these mental concoctions and come to the spiritual platform. Then there will be no more revolution because one will be fully satisfied. As Dhruva Maharaj says, Svamin kritarthosmi varam nayache. Quote, my dear Lord, now that I'm seeing you, I am completely satisfied. Unquote. So God consciousness is the final revolution. There will be repeated revolutions in this material world until people come to Krishna consciousness. Disciple. The Hare Krishna revolution. Srila Prabhupada. The Vedic injunction is that people are searching after knowledge, and that when one understands the absolute truth, he understands everything. Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. People are trying to approach an objective, but they do not know that the final objective is Krishna. They are simply trying to make adjustments with many materialistic revolutions. They have no knowledge that they are spiritual beings, and that unless they go back to the spiritual world and associate with the Supreme Spirit, God, there is no question of happiness. We are like fish out of water. Just as a fish cannot be happy unless he is in the water, we cannot be happy apart from the spiritual world. We are part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, Krishna. But we have left his association and fallen from the spiritual world because of our desire to enjoy this material world. So unless we reawaken the understanding of our spiritual position and go back home to the spiritual world, we can never be happy. We can go on theorizing for many lifetimes, but we will only see one revolution after another. The old order changes, yielding its place to the new, or, in other words, history repeats itself. Disciple. Marx says that there are always two conflicting properties in material nature, and that the inner pulsation of opposite forces causes history to take leaps from one revolution to another. He claims that the communist revolution is the final revolution because it is the perfect resolution of all social and political contradictions. Srila Prabhupada. If the communist idea is spiritualized, then it will become perfect. As long as the communist idea remains materialistic, it cannot be the final revolution. They believe that the state is the owner of everything. But the state is not the owner. The real owner is God. When they come to this conclusion, then the communist idea will be perfect. We also have a communistic philosophy. They say that everything must be done for the state, but in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we are actually practicing perfect communism by doing everything for Krishna. We know Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of the result of all work. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam. The communist philosophy, as it is now practiced, is vague, but it can become perfect if they accept the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, the supreme enjoyer, and the supreme friend of everyone. Then people will be happy. Now they mistrust the state. But if the people accept Krishna as their friend, they will have perfect confidence in him, just as Arjuna was perfectly confident in Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The great victory of Arjuna and his associates on the battlefield of Kurukshetra showed that his confidence in Krishna was justified. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanu Dhara Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Quote, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Unquote, Bhagavad Gita 18.78. So if Krishna is at the center of society, then the people will be perfectly secure and prosperous. The communist idea is welcome, provided they are prepared to replace the so-called state with God. That is religion. That is religion. Jai. So, we have completed chapter 11. Tomorrow we shall begin chapter number 12. Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche. Yes, we know about him. It will be an interesting chapter. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website shravanamdiaries.com, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.